walked into a trap.
Your legend ends here.
Do I look afraid?
In 358 BC, along the northern coast of Greece and Macedonia, an Athenian storyteller named Iolaus had been captured by pirates and tried to buy time by telling them a tale about his famous uncle, Hercules. Iolaus told how Hercules was born of Zeus, the king of the gods, and a mortal woman named Alcmene. Zeus's wife, Hera, hated the child and tried to kill him. But Hercules inherited his father's strength and became almost unbeatable. When he reached manhood, the gods ordered him to do 12 great labors. If he finished them and lived, they said Hera would at last leave him in peace. He fought terrible foes, the multi-headed Hydra, the wild Erymanthian boar, and the Nemean lion, whose skin was so strong no weapon could pierce it. Hercules finally killed that lion with his bare hands and wore its hide as armor. The pirates did not believe Iolaus and laughed at his story. At that moment, however, Hercules arrived to save him, the lion's skin draped over his shoulders. The pirates numbered 40 and were not easily frightened, but numbers did not matter to Hercules. He could fight many men at once, and he was not alone. A small band had come with him. There was Amphiaraus the seer from Argos, Autolycus the thief from Sparta, Tydeus the fierce warrior from Thebes, and Atalanta the Amazon archer from Scythia. Together the mercenaries cut through the pirates and freed Iolaus. After the fight they counted heads to know how much pay they'd receive. Autolycus told Iolaus to make Hercules' story sound even grander so folks would believe it. Meanwhile Amphiaraus stared into the flames and shared a strange vision. A lion and a crow would join in a deadly fight over a field of bodies. Later the group celebrated in a tavern. Hercules spoke with Autolycus about his wish to leave for lands across the sea, hoping to find peace, and said he would take Tydeus because he alone could calm Tydeus's rage. The merriment stopped when soldiers entered carrying Princess Eugenia of Thrace. She asked Hercules and his companions to come to the palace to hear her father's offer. There would be good gold for their service. Iolaus noticed the soldiers' shields bore a raven, while Hercules' symbol was a lion, a sign that matched Amphiaraus' vision. At the palace, Hercules saw a crowd of refugees behind the walls. General Cydagles, commander of the Thracian forces, greeted them but showed little warmth. Areus, the king's son, was a different matter. He was an eager fan of Hercules and knew all his tales. As they climbed the palace stairs, memories came to Hercules. He remembered, 3 years earlier, killing a hydra, though that hydra had been men wearing lizard-like helmets, as a task for King Eurystheus of Athens. The memory flickered into something darker, visions of his wife and children being murdered. He forced himself to set that pain aside and stay focused on the present. They met Lord Codus, the ruler of Thrace. He mocked Amphiaraus for his poor sight of the future and questioned Atalanta's skill because she was a woman. Atalanta answered without words. She shot cleanly and quickly, knocking the helmets from the guards' heads and proving Codus wrong. Hercules is invited to a dinner where Codus explains the troubles facing his country. The land is in the grip of a civil war, led by a cruel warlord named Rhesus, who is rumored to command an army of centaurs. Codus shows Hercules the endless stream of refugees who arrive every day after Rhesus burns their villages and explains that most of his trained soldiers are gone, leaving him with an army made up of farmers. Together with his daughter, Codus gives Hercules an emotional plea to help bring peace, which convinces him to accept the task. The next day, Hercules and his team start training the farmers-turned-soldiers, beginning with testing their shield wall, which collapses quickly. Later, Hercules meets Codus again, who shares information from a scout, Phineus. Rhesus plans to attack the Besai tribe in central Thrace within 6 days. Codus wants to march immediately to stop him. Hercules disagrees, saying the army isn't ready yet, but Codus ignores him and orders the march to begin the next day. That evening, after helping Atalanta deal with Cydagles' unwanted attention, Hercules notices Areus sneaking toward Tydeus, who is chained to a chariot. Areus almost harms him, but Hercules intervenes. He explains that Tydeus was born in war and was more like an animal than a human when he found him. Tydeus suffered a trauma so deep that he no longer speaks and relives his pain every night, yet he remains Hercules' most loyal warrior. Hercules takes Areus back to Erginaia at the hospice. She learned medicine herself after many healers were lost and now helps in any way she can. Before leaving, Hercules gifts Areus the Nemean lion's tooth, saying it would have been a gift for his own children. The next morning, the army prepares to march. Hercules discovers Iolaus hiding among the soldiers, ready to fight. He reminds Iolaus that he is a storyteller, not a warrior, and sends him to ride with Codus in the chariot. Together, they head toward Besai. Upon arrival, they find the village destroyed. Rhesus had already attacked, leaving a sea of bodies, some rotting, some surprisingly fresh. Suddenly, the fresh bodies rise and attack. Hercules calls for a shield wall around Codus while he and his team fight. To inspire the army, Iolaus uses storytelling to create an illusion. Hercules subtly breaks the tip of one of Atalanta's arrows, and when the tribe leader approaches, he stabs him in the forehead, making it seem as if he killed him with a single punch. This convinces the soldiers that the gods are on their side. The real battle begins. Hercules' team fights fiercely, but the enemy breaks through the shield wall. Thinking quickly, Hercules and Amphiaraus drive their chariots in circles around the wall, scattering the attackers. The remaining soldiers charge, and the tribesmen eventually retreat. Rhesus is nowhere to be seen, though a strange figure watches from afar. Hercules tells Codus that losing half his army is partly his fault for rushing into battle. Codus agrees to give Hercules more time for training. Meanwhile, General Cytogles wants to execute Phineus for leading them into a trap, but Autolycus steps in and takes charge of the scouts. He warns Phineus never to make such a mistake again. Shortly after, Princess Hergenia arrives with healers and is taken to Hercules' private tent to avoid revealing his mortal injuries from battle. After she leaves him to rest, Hercules drifts into a troubling memory. In his dream, he sees the lifeless bodies of his wife and children, his hands stained with blood, and King Eurystheus banishing him instead of executing him, so he would live forever with the guilt of what he had done. The nightmare ends when he hears children laughing nearby. Curious, he enters the forest and is shocked to find the bodies of his family among the fallen tribesmen. A three-headed dog, Cerberus, is feasting on them, and Hercules prepares to fight. But then Tydeus appears behind him, pulling him back to reality, making him realize it was all a vision. The next morning, Amphiaraus immediately understands what has happened. This is not the first time Hercules has experienced such visions. He advises Hercules that he must complete this final labor and face the beast to find peace. Hercules, however, doubts himself and fears he is losing his mind. While the two men talk privately, Princess Hergenia approaches the team to uncover the truth behind the rumors surrounding Hercules. The team explains that no one knows the full story. They had once found Hercules alone, surrounded by the bodies of his family, but he remembered nothing. Over the years, Hercules earned the loyalty of his team by showing kindness to each member during their adventures. He was so exceptional at his deeds that people could hardly believe he was mortal, and the team maintained stories about him to help him gain respect and work opportunities. They suspect that what happened to him was the blood rage, a condition that can cloud a warrior's mind. From that point onward, Hercules and his team put Codus' army through strict training. They are given armor and weapons modeled after Hercules' own and are taught to use lances, bows, swords, and hand-to-hand combat. Eventually, they perfect a shield wall strong enough that even Tydeus cannot break it. Meanwhile, Iolaus trains in secret, watching from a hidden spot. One day, Phineus returns with new intelligence. Rhesus is near Mount Asticus with an army of centaurs. Hercules plans to confront him there before he advances further, though he knows the forest may slow down the enemy's chariots. Amphiaraus sadly admits he cannot predict the outcome of the battle, but he does know he will die in a week. When Codus' army reaches Mount Asticus, they find no enemy camp at first. Soon, Rhesus' forces appear on the horizon, but the army soon realizes these are not centaurs, just men on horseback creating an illusion against the sun. Rhesus approaches Codus to demand surrender, with Phineus revealed as a traitor by his side. Codus refuses, and both armies prepare for battle. Codus' army forms their shield wall and raises their flags. Suddenly, Atalanta and her archers charge from the forest on chariots, ambushing the enemy just as they near Codus' side. As flaming arrows flew through the air, Amphiaraus spread his arms, ready to face his fate, yet somehow not a single arrow struck him. The battle was long and intense. Though Rhesus' army was larger, Hercules' soldiers were better organized, and soon they began to gain the upper hand. Rhesus' men started to flee, but he chose to stay and face Hercules himself, a decision that quickly proved disastrous. Hercules easily grabbed him along with his horse and threw them both to the ground in one swift motion. Later, when they returned to the palace with Rhesus in chains, Codus began mocking him in front of his people. Hercules, however, felt pity for him and offered support. As they walked, Rhesus tried to explain that Codus was the real tyrant and that it wasn't his soldiers who burned the villages, it was Codus himself. During the celebratory banquet, Rhesus was chained between two columns, displayed like a trophy. Princess Eugenia attempted to give him water, but Codus forbade it. Soon, it was time for Codus' coronation, now that Thrace was united under his rule. When Eugenia left the room after Rhesus called out to Codus, Hercules grew suspicious and followed her, demanding to know what she knew. She admitted that Rhesus was telling the truth. Codus had started the war after poisoning her husband, the rightful king. Eugenia explained she didn't openly rebel because she approved of her father's actions under threat. Codus had warned he would kill her child if she resisted. She tried to convince Hercules to take Ares with him when they left, but Hercules refused, just as General Cytogles arrived, informing him that Codus was searching for him. Hercules confronted Codus, accusing him of betrayal. Codus laughed at the idea that mercenaries, who usually worked for gold, had suddenly grown a conscience. He confessed his desire to build his own empire and offered Hercules command of his army. When Hercules refused, Codus paid him and his team their agreed reward and ordered them out. At the chariots, Hercules gave his money to Autolycus, planning to stay behind to save Thrace. He expected the team to leave with their gold, but Atalanta reminded him that they weren't staying out of obligation, they stayed because they were a family. The team decided to fight alongside him, except for Autolycus, who took the money and left, calling them crazy. The group snuck back into the palace, only to be trapped by General Cytogles and his soldiers. They were forced to drop their weapons. Cytocles then revealed to Cottus that he suspected Eugenia was plotting with Hercules to take Ares away. Cottus seized the child while capturing Eugenia, and Ares secretly returned the lion's tooth to Hercules before being dragged away by Cottus. Hercules tried to save Ares but was knocked unconscious. When he awoke hours later, he was chained to a wall and saw a creature in front of him. At first, it seemed like Cerberus, but as his vision cleared, he realized it was 3 wolves, and they looked familiar. King Eurystheus, accompanied by Cottus, entered the area, having spent all this time working together to take control of Greece. Surrounded by his friends locked in cages, Hercules slowly begins to remember the truth. Cerberus had never been real. What he saw 3 years ago were wolves attacking his family after Eurystheus had slipped a sedative into his drink to keep him from stopping them. Eurystheus admits this, explaining he feared Hercules' fame and the way people praised him like a god, seeing it as a threat to his own power. He had planned to eliminate him. A man with ambition can be bought, Eurystheus says, but someone like Hercules, who wants nothing, is too dangerous. Cottus orders his soldiers to take Ergenia out of her cage to be executed, and Hercules feels powerless watching it happen. But when Amphiaraus reminds him that everyone believes in him and that he should believe in himself too, Hercules remembers who he truly is. Summoning all his strength, he tears the chains from the wall and rushes to save Ergenia. Cottus and his men flee, letting the wolves attack Hercules. Ergenia grabs the axe meant for her execution and frees the others from their cages. Hercules fights the wolves, sustaining bites and injuries, but one by one he overpowers them, finally killing the last with a lion's tooth. His final labor is complete. With Ergenia freeing the party, they arm themselves with weapons left behind by the soldiers. Hercules lifts a heavy metal door, clearing the way for their escape from the dungeon. As they ascend the stairs, soldiers try to stop them, but the group fights back without difficulty. When a burning lance flies toward them, Amphiaraus prepares for his end, but Hercules catches it and kills a soldier, saving his friend. While the others handle the remaining soldiers, Hercules confronts Eurystheus. The king offers excuses for what happened to Hercules' family, claiming he was controlled by Cottus. He even tries to bribe and command Hercules, but none of it matters. Hercules grabs him by the neck, throws him onto his throne, and stabs him with his own dagger, finally avenging his family. Hercules begins to feel a sense of peace, but a whip lashes across his neck. It's Cytocles. He throws Hercules to the ground, ready to strike, only to be stabbed by Iolaus from behind. After finally calling his nephew a warrior, Iolaus rejoins the party, which has also rescued Rhesus. Together, they leave the palace, only to freeze as Cottus appears with his army. Ares is held hostage, and Cottus threatens to kill him if Hercules doesn't surrender. Suddenly, the soldier holding Ares falls dead from a knife thrown by Autolycus, who has returned to help. Ares runs to his mother as another battle begins, with Tydeus protecting him from incoming arrows. Tydeus kills most of the archers but is hit with several arrows in return. The group knocks over braziers to create a wall of fire between them and Cottus' army. Hercules lifts Tydeus, watching him die after saying the only word he ever spoke, Hercules. Cottus' army charges once the flames die down, and Hercules sees only one way to stop them. Using his immense strength, he pushes a giant statue of Hera off its base, smashing it into pieces that crush many soldiers and send Cottus into the abyss. With their king gone, the soldiers kneel one by one, chanting Hercules' name and accepting him as their new leader. If you enjoyed this Hercules 2014 movies full recap, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and thanks for watching.